What's going on, you guys? The Demigod back on Demigod ENT, and today I'm bringing you another movie review. So I just got back from the theater from witnessing Free Guy on the big screen in ultimate digital cinema quality, and man, I had a fantastic time with this film. I can't wait to post this review for you guys, to get this review up for you guys, and so we could just talk about it, discuss it, and create some dialogue about it. So we're gonna go over the plot, the director, the cast, my positives and negatives about the film, and then I'm gonna give you my official Demigod ENT rating for this film out of 10 at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Yes sir. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this review, man. Let's go. So I actually did not check out the trailer for this. Really, all I seen was the Deadpool and Korg thing for this, which I was kind of like curious as to why that popped up. For those of you that have seen that video, which by the way, I did do a reaction to that video, you can check that out right here. Go watch my reaction to that. But anyway, guys, it totally makes sense to me why Deadpool and Korg were hyping this film up, doing a whole trailer reaction for it, because this film, of course, was directed by Taika Waititi, which I'm going to get into later. Definitely want to talk about him some more. But first, let's go ahead and get into the plot, man. So the plot for this movie is, when a bank teller discovers he's actually a background player in an open world video game, he decides to become the hero of his own story, one that he can rewrite himself. In a world where there's no limits, he's determined to save the day his way before it's too late, and maybe find a little romance with the coder who conceived him. Now, I was actually incorrect about the director of this movie. I thought it was Taika Waititi because of course he's inside of this film, so I just assumed that he directed it, but this film was actually directed by Sean Levy. Now, I don't believe I've seen any of his films before from what I'm seeing here, but with that being said, man, this movie was fantastic. He did a fantastic job directing this film, and let's just go ahead and talk about it a little more. So I really had no idea what to expect when I walked into this movie, when I sat down. I mean, from the trailer that I seen, it looked a little off the walls, a little crazy. I wasn't quite sure the direction that they were going with this, but being as I am a gamer and this film appeals heavily to game culture, man, this was right up my alley. And they even had a few gamers in here, which I'll talk about more in the cast side of things. But speaking on the plot, man, I thought the writing for this movie was fantastic from start to finish. Going into the third act, it plateaued just a little bit, but then that speed really picked back up and carried us into a very beautiful finish. I love the way this movie started, I love the middle of this movie, and I love the way this movie concluded. So from start to finish, I had a blast with this movie at the movie theater, and matter of fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and check it out again. But leading on from that, man, let's go ahead and talk about the director of this film a little more. Sean Levy here, he actually was a producer on Stranger Things, which makes sense because one of the characters inside of this movie, I was like, man, why does he look so damn familiar? It's because he's from Stranger Things. If you haven't watched Stranger Things, go check that out on Netflix. One of the best Netflix shows out right now. Hell, one of the best shows out right now. I'm sure a majority of y'all have seen it. Who hasn't watched Stranger Things, right? And so the plot for this movie was fantastic. The director did a fantastic job with this. Let's discuss the cast, man, because the cast of this film is what really makes this film. The characters inside of this film, they have so much heart. They feel real, authentic. You can relate to these characters, especially me. I heavily related to our main character here, Guy, who is played by, of course, the great Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool himself. He did a great job inside of this movie, man. Ryan Reynolds really made this movie what it was, in my opinion. And not to say he carried this film, because all of the other cast did a fantastic job too. However, he did do a fantastic job, and damn near this movie would be almost nothing without him. And so Guy's character here, as we discussed in the plot, of course, he's an NPC living inside pretty much an open world video game who is artificial intelligence. He gains consciousness, and man, I have actually a lot to say on that. This movie was pretty much a spiritual awakening that we were witnessing take place on screen, which I happen to have a lot of history with, considering I had one last year, and I know a lot of y'all out there did too. So for those of you who could relate to what I'm saying right now, you're gonna know that when you go watch this movie, or if you have seen this movie, you're gonna know a lot of what I'm talking about when I discuss these things in here. And yeah, man, seeing him just wake up to the world around him, seeing how everything was fake, a lot like real life in the system that we live in, man, and just to see his character try all these different sorts of things once he comes to that, level of consciousness, once he raised his level of consciousness and was able to actually perceive everything that was going on around him, man, it was just a treat to watch on screen. It really was. And so, not to stick on Ryan Reynolds' character too much here, let's go ahead and discuss the other characters in here. So Jodie Comer, I believe is how you pronounce her name, she plays Molotov Girl in here, one of the main characters inside of this movie, and especially inside of this whole video game world. Now, I don't believe I've seen anything else that she's been in. However, from what I've seen from her out of this movie, she's definitely going to be a big star. She's definitely going to get even more bigger roles after this, because she did a great job in here too. She was almost our second protagonist of this film outside of Ryan Reynolds, I want to say, and man, she played her role to perfection. She really took what was given to her with the writing and just elevated it and brought it to a new level, and I really appreciated what she brought to this film. And so moving on to our other characters here, of course, Taika Waititi inside of this movie. Taika Waititi inside of this movie plays Antoine. Now, I personally thought he directed the movie when I watched this because he's put himself in his movies before. Of course, Thor Ragnarok, which he directed, if you did not know that. One of the best Marvel films, in my opinion. Thor Ragnarok, he voices Korg, which, like I was saying in the beginning, is why Korg and Deadpool were used as such a promotion for this film, because Ryan Reynolds and Taika Waititi are both inside of this movie. There's also a lot of references inside of this movie, just things you see in the background to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought that was fantastic. And what is their connection here to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I wonder how they, were allowed to put all of those different things inside of this film. I'm definitely going to have to do some research on that. But Taika Waititi inside of this movie, man, not only is he a fantastic director, because he's made some of my favorite films so far, that being Thor Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit. If you haven't watched Jojo Rabbit, highly underrated and kind of unknown film, go watch Jojo Rabbit. One of my favorite movies. I've seen it a dozen of times. I always try to show that movie to new people because it's such an interesting take on comedy that Taika Waititi goes with inside of that film. And it's pretty much a Nazi comedy, which sounds insane in concept, but I think he just executed it perfectly. And so, man, he played his role to perfection in this movie, being the antagonist. And I love the way his character acted inside of this movie, dressed inside of this movie. The costume design for his character when he first walks into the office, man, amazing. I love the outfit that he was wearing. I would wear that outfit myself. And so that's how you know that he had that drip on. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the other characters here. Joe Keery, another character from Stranger Things. Of course, like I was saying earlier in the video, I was seeing his face and I was like, man, what is he in? I just could not figure it out. He's in Stranger Things. I believe he plays like the older brother in Stranger Things, right? And so his character did a great job inside of this movie too. They all did. This entire cast, from our lead to the antagonist, all of our side characters, man, they really made this movie what it is. And after I watched this, I felt very inspired, and I just wanted to create more content after I witnessed this film. I mean, what a fantastic film here. So I thought that was our last character there, but we have a few more to discuss. Little Rel in here. He's always playing a side character, a comedic side character, the comedic relief for the movie, right? He did it in Get Out. He's done it in a couple other films that aren't coming off the top of my head right now, and he does it in this movie too. He plays that role so perfectly, just the funny side character, always injecting comedy where it needs to be injected. And I wonder if he can actually carry a film on his own. I don't believe he's ever starred in his own film. If he has, I haven't witnessed that. However, what he's doing here is perfect. They need to keep casting him in these type of roles because he's just perfected it, and he always brings something great to the comedic relief in a film. And so going on from that, there was actually a lot of cameos inside of this movie, a lot of streamers and YouTubers, which personally really touched me, being as I have my own YouTube channel. I'm trying to do my own thing over here on this platform, and not to say I idolize these people, but they've done a lot of great things in this field that I'm trying to accomplish great things in. So I definitely have a lot of respect for these people. So getting to see Pokimane, Jacksepticeye, Ninja inside of here, and I believe there might have even been a couple of more in here that I may not have recognized, or maybe I'm just not thinking off the top of my head right now. But getting to see them inside of this film, man, that really touched my heart, to just see how far this community has come, especially the gaming community. I mean, these people went from creating content in their own room to being on the big screen, still doing what they do. They were still playing their role that they actually play in real life inside of this movie. And man, that was so dope to see. That was so inspiring. And man, with that being said, I would usually save this part for the negatives. Now, I did mention one when I was talking about the plot earlier, how once we get into the third act, and by the way, I noticed this with Old too. If you haven't watched my old movie review, go check that out right here. Go see what I had to say there. I thought that was a great movie, man. But going back to what I was touching on here, the first and second act is just a steep build, and it just keeps going and going and going, and it's all perfect. And then once we hit that third act, things plateau, man. They don't dip and they don't drop, kind of like Old did. However, they did plateau, but luckily they saved it. And then I believe there was about 25-30 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes left in here, that it just kicks right back up, and we just have this nice, chart that's just going from start to finish to the top, man. It just consistently rises how good this movie gets. And man, I really appreciated this film here. So that's it for my negatives, my nitpicks, if you want to call it that. And so moving on to my official rating out of 10 for this movie. What would I rate this movie? I am going to give Free Guy a 10 out of 10. That's right, it is the second movie on my channel to get a 10 out of 10, to get the masterpiece rating here. And man, a hell of a film. You guys have to go check it out. If you haven't seen Free Guy, go watch it, man. Go out to your theater, support this film, support this movie. If you're, you know, trying to stay out of public places right now due to everything that's going on, just wait till, you know, it drops at home and you could pay that $20 premium price to view it at home, or whatever they're going to be charging for it. And man, pay the price, support this movie. Let's get these box office numbers up, because I would love to see a sequel come out for this film, and I believe that there's already talks for a sequel for this film, so I'm glad to see that. We need a sequel for this film. The way it concluded, they left room for a sequel. They didn't set up a sequel, however they could definitely expand upon this world, you could tell, especially considering we're dealing with video games and, you know, simulated realities and open world games and things like that. So there's so much room that you can go with here. Which, speaking of that, why haven't we got a sequel for Ready Player One? You know, maybe a Ready Player Two, if they're gonna call it that. I feel like we need a sequel for that film too. I really liked that film when it dropped a few years back. I believe it was like 2018 that dropped. But anyway, there you have it, man. That is my rating and review for Free Guy. Now, I do want to touch on spoilers a little bit more, so if you haven't actually seen the film, go ahead and exit off here. Make sure you hit the like button, man, and subscribe, because I'm going to be coming with more content for this channel, more movie reviews, more trailer reactions, more show reactions. And man, we got a lot of big things coming over here to Demigod ENT. But yeah, man, so nice seeing y'all, for those of y'all who don't want to get spoiled. But we're going to go ahead and move into the spoiler section. So I don't want to touch on too many things because this video is already becoming a bit too long here. However, I did have a few things that I wanted to say in this spoiler section. For example, once he officially wakes up, you know, raises his consciousness, realizes that the world around him is fake, that being Guy's character, of course, Ryan Reynolds' character, he actually tries to go and wake up all the people around him, which for anyone that's experienced a spiritual awakening, that is definitely one of the first stages of a spiritual awakening that you're going to do. You're going to go try to wake up all these people around you, all your family members, all your friends. You're going to try to tell them, you know, all these things that they may not know, maybe expose reality to them past what they may be receiving it as. You know, maybe they're still obsessed with celebrity culture and all these other things, and you try to let them know what it really is, and they just don't get it, man. And it's really a heartbreaking feeling. I really felt for Ryan Reynolds' character. I really felt for Guy here once he tried to do that, and it was sort of a sad scene, man. He just tried his hardest to wake them up, and then, you know, he just like, damn, gave up on it. He actually got hit by a car there at the end of that scene, and everyone's just, you know, looking at him like he's crazy, which they happen to do a lot to people who experience things like this. They try to write you off as crazy or a madman because no one else could see what the hell is going on in this matrix that we live in. And so that just shows, man, that a lot of the time it's best to just keep things to yourself. And actually, I did not like the way, maybe I should add this into the negatives, however it would have been a bit of a spoiler. I did not like the way they concluded the scene that I'm talking about, because after he gets hit by the car, they write it off with a funny moment immediately after. We had, you know, maybe the most serious moment in this film for our main character, for our protagonist, and then they kind of write it off with a joke. You know, he says hello to the cop or whatever, a consistent joke that they kept up throughout the whole movie. It's a great joke, however, I felt like the humor just relieved all that tension that we just built up inside of that moment just instantly, just like that. And it's like, well, y'all did that for a cheap laugh after setting up such a great moment. However, that's just another nitpick. So let's go ahead and discuss some other things I wanted to discuss here, man. So another thing we can dive into for sure is just seeing how this whole reality is completely simulated, which of course is a theory out there that we've heard a few people speak on. Maybe you've seen Elon Musk and a few other people speak on it, how we may possibly be living in a simulated reality right now, and you would just have no idea, and you would just never know, because this is reality as you perceive it, which is pretty much how it was for Guy. You know, everyone else in the world, other than the NPCs, of course, they were all real people in the real world outside of this reality, and they were just obviously playing the video game, coming to participate in his reality. But for him, this is all he knows. You know, this is his reality. This is as real as it gets to him. And you know, he as a person, he's not fake to himself. He's as real as he can get as an AI, you know, artificial intelligence who gained consciousness and was able to keep expanding upon that. And that's actually something that, who knows, we may see happen in the future. You know, AI may just go too far. We may see AI start to be able to develop past what they were programmed with and programmed to do, you know, break out of their algorithm and just be able to expand. That could definitely be something that could be to the detriment of mankind in the future. So I thought that was another cool point there. You know, I'm just able to see this movie from so many different perspectives pretty much, and I'm sure a lot of y'all out there are too. Hopefully y'all need to let me know down in the comments what you thought about this film, man. Any theories, any things that this brought up to you while you were watching it. Let me know in the comments down below. Let's start a discussion about it, build some community around it, and yeah, man. So moving on from that, is there anything else I want to discuss? I'm sure there's a few more things. However, right now it's a bit late and I've been going through this movie review, so man, I should have took some notes with this movie. However, I just wanted to enjoy my time watching this film on the big screen. Normally I would have taken notes. I didn't end up taking notes this time, so there is definitely a few things that I'm missing out here, things that appeared to me in the film that I would want to discuss that are just not here right now. However, all that being said, man, I had a great time with this film. That's it for the spoiler section. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below, man. If you don't know what I do here on Demigod ENT, I do trailer reactions, show reactions, movie reviews, movie news, and unboxing videos. So if you're interested in any of that, you're in the right place, man. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, show this video some love. I drop multiple videos a day on this channel, so that's what you can expect out of me. And if you don't already know, I am the Demigod, the chosen one, here on Demigod ENT, and I'm out of this thing, man. More videos coming soon. Stay tuned. I want to start getting much more active on this channel. I have a lot more ideas popping into my head, and man, it's just a great time to be a content creator. So all that being said, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, and I'm out of this thing, man. Peace.